and welcome back. Today, things are going to get really spooky. And so begins our boss rush mode. That's basically what Nightmare is. It's every boss stage we've had so far in a row. That's 3 of them in a row, and they're different in several ways. First off, they all of them have this wavy filter on them, the inverted colors. It's a pretty cool effect. They all have like this really cool Nightmare music, which is actually my favorite track in the game. Even if it is a bit more loopy than most. I just really dig the organ, I guess. It's a very menacing song. And each boss minigame is generally just harder, I suppose. This is why I've been saying that each boss stage doesn't really have a hard mode. That's because this is the hard mode. If you were to play the boss stage in the story's hard mode, it would be exactly the same, except for the fact that you would have less than one less chance, which is more applicable to Driver and Plant than this. And the same goes for this too on hard mode. So Bull, or Nightmare 1, whatever you would like to call it, it's generally made harder by the fact that there are more bulls that take more than one hit. Still, though, it's generally not really that hard. I mean, I never really had trouble going through it. There are still some Skier-men to watch out for, but they don't really appear that much, and especially with the coloring, they stick out much more, so it's easier to not mistake them. Sometimes the bulls will fall in front of you a lot closer, and I guess that makes it a little bit more frantic, but it's nothing too bad. The last bull, the big bull, is not really any different at all. He still takes 100 hits, and he doesn't really change his movement pattern at all. He moves left and right exactly the same number of hits, so not too bad. And so as you can see, we go straight from one minigame to the other, no break in between, and that also means that if you fail any of the nightmares, you have to start all over again, straight from the first one, which is kind of irritating and kind of lessens the whole impact of the thing. So the Driver nightmare, there's more cars at the front, and they generally try to box you in. One particular man you can collect, the second to last one coming up here, you really don't want to get him because this line of cars is really tricky to navigate around. And going out of your way to get the last guy, the second to last guy, can be really much more stressing than you really need. This also gave me an opportunity to show off the issue with not being able to control your speed in this boss game, because as you can see, you can end up right next to the car and you have to wait until he moves ahead of you. And if the car touches you, which is something you can't really control or anticipate, you lose a heart. It's nice that they give you a little arrow showing you where the car is, but the timer's ticking, and sometimes the car can be extremely stubborn in slowing down or speeding up and letting you hit it. Still, though, it's generally a fun minigame. I think the car gets 1 extra hit, where before it was just 2 hearts, now it has 3 in both forms. Nightmare 3 starts us off right in the hardest part of Plant, which is all the vines are fast and the pots, both types are already falling down. And that's generally the only difference at this point. Kind of shows that Plant isn't really that much of a flexible minigame when it comes to that regard, since a lot of it is kind of random. The plant heads are kind of more quicker than when they open and close their mouths, so you have to be a little bit more careful when throwing a torch in. It can be really tricky about it. Overall, I guess I could use this opportunity to say Plant is probably the boss minigame that I care for the least. Simply because, as I said, a lot of it relies on just waiting until everything goes down and you can actually hit it. Which, you know, you could also say for Driver, but it feels like you have more control there. At the very least, there isn't a time limit, which would have made this way worse. And thankfully, that's not the case. This map in particular is really quick in doing its thing. One thing I forgot to mention is that in every Nightmare, the girlfriend actually has some subtle physical changes. Mostly subtle. In the first Nightmare, she just kind of has like these demon horns and tail, which you only see for a little bit. And in Nightmare 2, I think it's the same thing, and it's even harder to see since her model is kind of small, as she's being held by the car claws. And here she's got those wacky piranha plant hands. It's a nice touch. It's one of the reasons I like this game. Here you see that if you try to burn the vines too late, they don't burn all the way, which is kind of silly. Again, the rhythm for actually throwing the torches and not hitting the girl are pretty simple and not too bad to go through. So just, again, take the time that's needed to beat it. But once this is done, that'll be it for this video. Things are about to get way more serious from now on. So I'll see you next time.